Okay, let's do this quickly because I don't know how much longer I'm gonna have electricity. It's a South African problem called load shedding. Our power just gets shut off because load shedding. Hey guys, it's Bryce here. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my thoughts and opinions about the spider ball python. Let's jump into it. So what is the spider gene? The spider gene is basically a pattern changing morph that has some neurological issues. But now remember, all spider ball pythons originated from one animal, so already there's not that much genetic diversity between that specific morph. So even though snakes and reptiles in particular can handle inbreeding a lot better than some or most mammal species can, it's probably not the best thing anyway for their health. So I can't imagine that that's great for them. So yes, all the spiders came from one animal, but that doesn't mean there isn't some strength in the bloodline that has been added because they've been crossed over and bred with so many different animals that come from different bloodlines. And there's so much we still need to learn about the behavior of this particular morph and what it actually does and how it affects the animal. And this is a very controversial topic, so I'm just sharing my thoughts and opinions and stating them so you can form your own opinions in that, and let me know of what you think at the end of this video, but watch the whole thing before you comment, please. So are they really spiders without a wobble? Personally, I think all spiders have a wobble to some extent, whether this is shaped by the environment, stress or genetics. More on that in a bit. But here's the thing, spiders aren't the only morph of ball pythons that have issues. I mean, there's many other ball python morphs that come with their own issues too, because at the end of the day, any morph is a defect of what the natural animal is. So they're all defects, but they all have different extents of that. Like the cinnamon or super cinnamon ball pythons have kinking problems, champagnes, few others have some wobbles also. But a head wobble isn't all that uncommon. I've actually seen it happen in a wild caught normal animal that was surviving perfectly fine in the wild and now has been brought into captivity. But what I want to know is, are these animals actually suffering? My opinion is most of them in captivity aren't really suffering because they know nothing else and they know no differently. They kind of don't know how their body should work, if that makes sense, even though we as keepers can refer them to other snakes like a normal ball python and see, hey, that's not right, this animal shouldn't act like that. But in that animal's mind, it may be like, hey, this is how I live, this is how I see the world. So I don't know, like, who's to say if it's suffering? I think there needs to be a lot more research done on that, and I'd be really interested to see the results of that, because I also don't know how you check that out. I mean, pretty interesting to think about, because like, you can't say what the snake is feeling. Like, is it in pain, or is it just like, hey, I'm just looking at the world differently? But then again, there are animals that aren't able to live properly, in my opinion, because they are causing more damage to themselves by moving around in weird ways and hurting themselves as life goes on. I'm definitely not against these animals though, as I own one and I think they're absolutely stunning creatures, and I absolutely love mine, who is Mrs. Thumper. So personally, I think that spiders should maybe be sold with a disclaimer stating what they may face and the issues that they have. But then also I think that us as keepers should do a ton more research. Like, everybody should know, if they want to get a spider ball python, that the spider has these issues, and not get it if you don't want to get it because it has these issues. So now hear me out. What I'm about to say is my opinion and not at all any sort of proven fact. So I think that in some cases the head wobble is intensified by stress. This is definitely not the cause of the wobble, but I believe it may intensify the head wobble for sure. I haven't seen or been around any terribly wobbly individuals in all the facilities that I've been to that have very minimal stress on their animals. So why I think that stress has a lot to do with this is because I've seen animals that have been imported, these are different species, that have been imported into the country and have head wobbles, but as soon as they acclimate these were wild caught animals too, but as soon as they start acclimating to captivity, and it's quite a long time period from when they have been shipped and imported into the country, which is a very stressful process for the animal, they start to decrease in their head wobble symptoms. Not completely dissipating it, but I have seen it decreasing with less stress, if that makes sense. And in those cases, shipping is stressful on the animal, and that's what may even bring up the issues in those animals. So maybe I'm wrong that stress does increase the amount of wobble in an animal, because I haven't seen it with spider ball pythons being imported, obviously, because there haven't been any more that I know of. Personally, my spider ball python, she does have a wobble, yes, but she isn't living life terribly. She seems to be doing alright, but hey, who am I to say? Maybe she's not enjoying life at all, but from what I can see, it seems like she's having a good life, but I'm not in her head, so I don't really know. She's eating perfectly, getting around her enclosure perfectly, being mean when she has to. And just by the way, why she's called Mrs. Thumper is because she literally never misses a meal. She always thumps at it, and as you know, ball pythons tend to go off feed sometimes, which is pretty irritating. Whereas she just will eat anytime, anything, any day, you name it, she'll eat it. Although she isn't as steady when she goes for her food, she still gets it. She's able to coil it, she's able to suffocate the frozen thawed rodent, and she's able to move her around in her enclosure properly. Obviously, I don't own many spider ball pythons, I only own this one bumblebee, and she's amazing. So I can't compare that many of the snakes. So what I'm showing you here is how my female ball python displays her wobble and neurological issue. She isn't bad at all. She's actually pretty good. If I flip her over, she rights herself quite quickly. She has not much issues in that way, but that doesn't mean there are aren't animals out there that have terrible wobbles and look absolutely insane. From some of the videos I've seen, it's incredible and like really heartbreaking seeing how some of these animals are affected by this neurological problem. And look, I tip her upside down, she's able to right herself pretty quickly, getting her head back in the right orientation, and obviously I think I'm making her pretty dizzy by doing this, so let her chill for a bit. But that's where I think that stress has to be linked to the wobble also, because I think that stress makes the wobble a lot worse than it is originally. So I think that when the animals are more stressed out, they tend to freak out and wobble a lot more, because we've seen that in other animals. For instance, some snakes that are stressed won't eat and will get sick, and a whole lot of different factors. And I think that's why stress also has to play a big part in how the spider's wobble reacts to how bad it is or how good it is. But that's not really any proven fact, it's just my thoughts. So I definitely think that stress has somewhat of an effect in making the wobble a little bit worse, but I don't know to what extent. And please guys, what I want you to do is not to take my one example of my one snake to make a decision for you, because there are many snakes out there that I think are in really terrible shape and don't look great at all. So don't find the one example. Go do research and find out tons of examples to find out what you believe. So I've visited a ton of reptile facilities, seen tons of ball pythons and spider ball pythons, and I've personally never seen a really bad spider ball python. So that's why I think that these cases are extreme cases, not normal things that you would find in the most common or the majority of spider ball pythons. It does happen, but I don't think that's the majority of the spiders that are out there. But anyway guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments down below of what you think about the spider ball python, and are you against it? If so, why? And stating all the facts and research that you guys have come up with. Anyway, that's it. Thanks guys for watching. Bryce from Righteous Reptiles. Remember to guys, learn, explore, inspire. Cheers guys.